Hey, how's it going today, everybody? It's your boy, Anonymous the Author, and this is the Anonymous Author Podcast. I'm back again, and today we will be talking about investing. I do have a short little quotes, should I say, from Warren Buffett, just giving you some insight into his thinking, and we're going to be talking about investing in self. Sorry, guys. I'm trying this new video, and trying to get everything incorporated is definitely a little bit more of a struggle than I thought it was going to be, but we're still going to work through it here. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about investing and three pillars: investing in self, investing in the stock market, and investing in business. So I think those are three very important pillars that a lot of people don't know about. Like I said earlier in my other podcast, I do come from the financial field. I was a loan officer for a number of years, as well as a teller at a credit union. So I got a lot of the background information and learned a lot about loans and interest. If you guys do have any direct questions for me, please email the Anonymous Author Podcast at gmail.com if you have any direct questions for me, and I can answer them on future episodes or just a direct video shout out to you on some social media. So like I said, reach out. I'm definitely here to answer questions. So we're going to get started. And once again, thanks for joining me, guys. Let's get right to it. Here we go again. A rapper in a new skin, but we know it's him. Flow into my jeans. So the quote by Warren Buffett, price is what you pay. Value is what you get. We simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy only when others are fearful. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Now, that last quote is a very powerful statement. Like that is essential to investing, is you have to play the long game. Not only are you playing the long game, but you are playing the long game for not just you, but for your future. Not just your future, but your entire entity's future. So if you're having kids, it's going to be it for their future. If they have kids, it's their future. Wealth and investing and, taking part in wealth building is really just the idea that if I save $1 today, that's $1 earned tomorrow. And $1 earned tomorrow can compound interest for future generations beyond what you can possibly fathom. So that's where the idea of investing comes from. Now, investing, usually people say it passively with the stock market, like, hey, you need to invest in the stock market, but you need to invest in yourself. That's really where this personal investment is coming from. That's going to be one of the first pillars that I talk about today, is investing in self. Now, what do I mean by investing in self? You get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, however you choose, however you get paid, whether it's from your income, whether you work in a job, whether you have an investment that paid off, whether you're selling something, you're getting income. And with that income, you have to pay things that you want. It's just a natural byproduct of society. It's just, we live in a capitalist country. Whatever you want is going to cost money. But you have to realize that you need to pay yourself, essentially. You can go out here and pay, however much on a car payment, however much on rent, however much on insurance, however much on looking nice, however much on an outfit, however much on hair and nails, whatever you want to pay for. I'm not here to judge you for what you choose to pay for. But if you're paying everybody else, are you setting aside enough to pay for yourself? Are you treating yourself? Are you becoming a better person day in and day out? Life is all about growth. So if you're the same person you are today that you were a month ago, you're not doing this life thing right. You need to constantly be learning, constantly evolving, constantly changing, because a personal story of mine is that I've never liked, agreed, or thought it was logical to work 30 years and then retire. That's just never been a logical thing for me, ever. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I do it, obviously, but it's just never made much sense to me to work 30 years doing something you hate for a company that doesn't care about you. Because if you die, they'll replace you by tomorrow. They'll send you some well wishes in your family. We were thinking well, but they're not gonna invest in you. That's just how these companies work. It is what it is. You have to know the beast, and you have to deal with the beast, and you have to get along with the beast. But the beast is the beast. You can't take away what a corporation or company is. They're designed to make money. They're not designed to take care of their workers. They're not designed to invest in people. That's just not how they operate. Now today they have 401ks, but that's still you investing. They'll match you, but they're getting a tax break. It's nothing that they're going out of their way to do. So my point is, if you're going to invest all this time at your business or at your place of work, I'm not going to say business because we're going to get to that later. You're going to invest all this time into a business that you don't own, working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week for a company that they probably don't know your name. For most big companies, you're just a number. So if you're going to invest all that time in them, why not invest 2-3 hours of your own time outside of work to better yourself? Now, what bettering yourself is really just depends on the person. It's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to learn another language? That's bettering yourself. You want to learn a new skill. Maybe you want to become ambidextrous. You want to start writing with your left hand. Hey, do it. Take 2 hours a day, an hour a day, whatever it is, and then just start chipping away at it until you see noticeable differences. See, the thing about learning that I don't think a lot of people know is that once you learn something, you realize you enjoy learning things. Like just think about how basic learning something is. It's just a necessity to life. Well, at one point, you didn't know how to tie your shoes. You didn't know how to dress yourself. You didn't know the names of certain things. You didn't know how to maneuver through your city. You didn't know left from right. Do you guys remember when you first had to learn left from right? The only reason I remember it was because I write with my right. So I'm like, okay, right is right and the other one is left. You know what I mean? That's the only reason that I can remember it. But yeah, at some point you just learn that learning is fun. And it's not the aspect of reading a book. Because we have YouTube now, audiobooks. We have people that can just tell you the instructions on ways to do things. That's the same way I learned how to do this podcast. I saw a bunch of videos on YouTube on how to start a podcast, and I listened to a ridiculous amount of podcasts. I consume so much information, and I'm like, why can't I just regurgitate or reiterate or tell my thoughts or give my opinions on things? I'm not saying I'll ever be to a Joe Rogan's level. I'm not saying I'll have millions and millions of subscribers, but people just in general don't know a lot of the information that I thought was just obvious. So investing in self is huge. Whether it's just you getting on YouTube and looking up how-to videos, save them. Like you have all there. I'm going to say this about this platform and what I believe. Excuses. This is a no excuse zone. It just is. I know that it can be frustrating, and I know it's like, oh no, you need to listen to what I'm going through and listen to my struggle. And it's like, I hear you. We all have struggles on a day-to-day. That's not an excuse. We all go through certain things from time to time that we just cannot get away from. But that's not an excuse. If everybody has a situation that is a struggle, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's sex, whether it's mental disability, whatever it is, that's never going to be an excuse. Because life in the world doesn't care what your excuse is. They don't. I'll just tell you right now, they don't. You can say, well, I didn't start at the level that's fine. Most people don't start at the level of multimillionaires. That's my phone going off. Most people just don't. Actually, let me go ahead and mute this because I have a feeling this is going to be a long one today. Most people just don't have that luck of being born into wealth. So I feel like it's my job, my responsibility to at least give you the tools to start building that wealth. Like I said, never said you're going to be Jeff Bezos. I don't want to give that impression. But if you can get a 1% of what he has, what he worth? He got $1 trillion company. What's 1% of $1 trillion? Like 10 billion? 0.1% of that is $1 billion? You tell him you can't get a piece of that? That's always been my mindset. I can't be 50 Cent. I can't be $200 million, but I can get 2 or 3. I can get a little piece of that out the pie. You know what I mean? And that's really how you have to look at it. It's not about being the top dog. If you can be the top dog, be the top dog. But when you start on a journey, you want to set realistic goals. You want to start chipping away at that huge mountain. You know what I mean? You want to build Michelangelo. You want to create that masterpiece, but you got to start somewhere chipping it away. Some people become so overwhelmed with the idea that, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I have to do A, B, and C, or, oh my gosh, I don't understand how he created this masterpiece. Like, how much time did it take him? That's such a beautiful piece of work. It's like, this CD is so genius. How did he? It all started with a thought, an idea, a concept that they just kept flushing out. And that's what I'm telling y'all. Just invest in yourself. If you have an idea, a thought, a concept, look into it. How can you make this real? Steve Harvey once said, hey, if you fry chicken better than anybody else, you need to be selling plates of fried chicken. Whatever your skill is, monetize it. I don't care what you do. If you can flick a rubber band against the wall better than anybody else, record yourself flicking rubber bands and challenge people. Start getting some views. Whatever you can do, monetize that skill. If you're good at talking and people love to hear you talk, podcast. This microphone was $30. $30 on Amazon. Camera, maybe $200-$300 at the most. But you could do it off your phone. I don't have a very good phone. I don't know if you guys saw when I pulled it up if you're watching me on YouTube, but I don't have the best phone in the world. But I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm always going to find a way to do something. And that's what I'm telling you guys you have to do. You have to stop making excuses. You have to center yourself in your life. I know it's crazy. I know people post all the time on social media and then they're, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing A, B, and C and I'm working 40 hours and that's fine. But what are you doing to better yourself? People work jobs and they depressed. They hate their life. They do a million other things. They hurting people. And I just have to come back to find your happiness. You really just have to find your happiness. That's really all it is. Find your skill and just chip away at it. Invest in yourself. See the worth that you have. Because you have worth to everybody, whether you realize it or not. Your job sees you as whatever your hourly wage is. Your friends see you as opportunity cost. If I do this with them, then I'm not doing something with somebody else. There's cost to everything. So why not invest in something that's worth your time? So my suggestions on investment in self is learn a new skill, learn another language, learn how to do something you've never done before. If you were good at something as a youth and maybe you got away from it, go back to that. You're never as open-minded and as able as you are as when you're a child. Your mind is wide open to the possibilities. The potential is limitless for a child. They can go in any direction that they want to. And sometimes you have to go back to that place to remember who you really are before you got initiated into the day-to-day 9-to-5 grind. It's like you were a kid who had a passion. That's where we all start from. We all were kids with passions. What was that passion? Find that and start chipping away. I mean, that's fun. To rediscover yourself. It's interesting when you replay back your youth and remember what you used to do. It's like, oh wow, I guess that was me. That's just how I see it. You got to invest in yourself because you'll wake up in 30, 40 years, one, not ready to retire because you don't nearly have as much saved. The economy is the economy. Things are going to keep getting more expensive. And if you are relying on a paycheck for a day to day, it's not going to bode well for you in 30, 40 years. I mean, it's just not. You have to get a side gig, a side hustle that you want to do so that hopefully it can take you to new heights. Even if you don't become a multimillionaire off them, you can be doing something that you enjoy doing, that you like, that you want to do. But yeah, I mean, I wish you guys all the best. I hope that you guys do take the time out to invest in yourself because you are worth it and you do deserve it. Don't let this 9-to-5 struggle or this, 7 to 7, whatever your hours are, get you. Because I really feel like this coronavirus and everything has shown people that have been forced to sit down like, oh, I do have other passions and gifts that I want to pursue. And it's worth my time. So I implore you guys, please go do that. I must be everything I can dream, every scene I can see, everything I believe. So Second thing we're going to be talking about today is investing in the stock market. This is a question that I get a lot of, and I'm actually surprised that a lot of people don't know about investing in the stock market. It's really very simple, but I think I'm going to go a little more in depth into investing in the stock market and investing in stocks in general. So there's multiple ways to invest. You can 1, invest in the stock market, 2, invest in index funds, 3, invest in mutual funds. And when I say invest in the stock market, I do mean individual stocks. Now, the 2 common platforms are Ameritrade and Robinhood. I personally use Ameritrade, and I will explain why in just a second. But these are the 2 main platforms that you can use. They have very similar qualities about them. You can look up stocks. You can see a couple of we'll say data about the stock. It's not very detailed on Robinhood or Ameritrade. You can go into a lot deeper levels about the company in other ways and forms. But these are the 2 general ways to just see the statements. You can also look up financial data on Ameritrade, which is why I prefer it. You can get a lot deeper and dig a lot deeper in Ameritrade. You also have analysis of the companies. From top reviewers. You can go in and see where they get their numbers from, what the information and what they're thinking, which is very useful to me because I do look at balance sheets and financial statements a little bit here and there just to see how they're trending, to see where they're going from a month to month. I mean, a year to year, quarter to quarter, but I don't dig deep like Warren Buffett does. Warren Buffett has an entire analysis on how he breaks down stocks, looking up future risk, current assessment, price and expense ratio. Warren Buffett is a G. He has an ability to go in, look at stocks, know what he's looking at, break it down very quick. I won't say very quickly, break it down, and come up with an idea of what he wants to do about it. It's a great way to invest. One of his main rules is, do you understand what the company does and what unique value does this company bring to the market? That is a great way to look at companies. But if you aren't sure, then investing in the stock market in individual stocks may not be the thing for you. If you don't want to say, man, I'm not going to sit up here, break down each one of these stocks and try to figure out what they do. And that's perfectly fine. That takes us to index and mutual funds. Now, index funds are hallmarks of a company. Not hallmarks. They're index. I know some of these terms might not make a lot of sense, but it's an index of a fund. If you want to invest in the S&P 500, S&P 500 is the top companies in the U.S. economy. It mimics basically what the overall broader stock market is doing. In this index, the S&P 500, very common index fund that people invest into. It mimics the stock fund. It mimics the stock market, goes up and down pretty much very close to what the stock market is doing. You can invest in this, and over time, obviously the U.S. economy has always improved. That's just the way the U.S. has functioned to this date. Since the 20s, since the stock market was created, the stock market has always, trend-wise, gone up. Now, we do have dips. 2008 was a dip. 1920 was a dip. Currently, we did a small dip, but it looks like we're going back up currently, which is for a whole other discussion on what the Fed is doing. And the Fed is, like I said, another discussion for another day on what they do and how they function and how they factor into the U.S. economy. But if stocks aren't for you, mutual funds and index funds might be the way to go. They're not investing in specific stocks. They're investing in the overall index in general. Like I said, S&P 500 indexes the entire stock market. Not precisely, not 100%, but it does mimic it very closely. A mutual fund is you putting your money mutually with others in a company that then invests those funds for you in other stocks. A lot of times in mutual funds, they'll give you a list of the stocks that they invest in, and you can get a breakdown. You can get a breakdown of how much money you'll get per how much money you put in, what the growth rate is. But with mutual funds, since there is a company monitoring this and investing for you, there are costs associated. Now, index funds have costs too, but index funds are seen as cheaper because they're indexing the stock market by themselves, by companies. By themselves, essentially, with stocks. Mutual funds some are actively managed, some are not. Some will sell off and buy other stocks, which, you end up paying taxes and stuff on that. But like I said, we'll get into that for another day. I just want this to be very general. I don't want to discourage anyone from investing. So me personally, using Ameritrade is useful because you can do what's known as dividend reinvestment, which means the dividend that you get paid out on a specific stock can then be reinvested back into that specific stock, which is very useful to me because I don't want to touch that money for a while. I'd much rather that money go back into that same stock to give me more shares and to increase my investing than touching it personally. Because right now I'm relatively young, and I'm working now. So that's the point of why I wanted to use that Warren Buffett quote. Someone sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. It's the idea of, okay, if I can put this money away, a dollar saved is a dollar earned, right? So if I can put this money away today, that means when I'm 50, 60, that means that money's going to be there waiting for me. Dollar saved is a dollar earned, right? So that means it's 50, 60, when I'm done working, I'm tired of these people, I can't stand it no more. That means I got a bucket of money for me waiting that I've saved up that's going to pay me. And that's the thing about stocks, mutual funds, and indexes that I look for when I invest personally. We're going on a little bit of a personal note. But when I invest, I want dividends. A dividend is whatever that stock price is, they pay you a portion. So the stock is worth $100 and they have a 1% dividend. That means stock's worth $100. You're going to get $1 of that for just sitting there, for doing nothing. Just because you own that stock. They say, hey, man, every month or quarterly or yearly, they'll say, hey, you own our stock. Thanks for owning the stock. They'll pay you. They will give you money. They're saying, hey, we not appreciate, your money has allowed us to make a profit. Since we've made a profit in our stuff, we want to pay you and thank you, investor, because without your investment, we couldn't fund. That's the main thing about the stock market, and the main thing about making stocks available for the stock market is you can use funds that people buy your stock for to invest in your business. Investing in self on a business level. Do you see how investing is important in self is? Businesses do it. Now, of course, they give up a piece of the share to the shareholders. A lot of these businesses are then responsible to their shareholders. And, you don't want to do anything to piss off the shareholders because they kind of help fund your business, or the board members, or however you want to break it down. But you have to see the worth in investing. Because like I said, businesses do it. If you're not invested in yourself, then you're investing in somebody else. If you're not spending your money on yourself, you're spending it on somebody else. That's just the way it is. If you have no money currently, it's because you spent it on something else. You can say, oh, hey, it's my rent. That's fine. But you spent it on something else. I'm not shaming anyone for having bills. I'm not. But you can't improve your life or get where you want to go if you can't take a step back and say, okay, I got to assess. So everything starts with a budget. Everything. Budget. That is the word of the day, everybody. Budget. Come up with a budget for yourself. How much money are you bringing in monthly? What are your expenses monthly? Do the math. Now, if you have extra money after your month, you should be investing that money. If you have extra money, take 10% and invest it into either Ameritrade or Robinhood. And I'm going to go over a minute how to do that. But invest in Ameritrade or Robinhood. If you got $100 left over after a month, take $10 of that and invest it into Robinhood or Ameritrade. In a stock market, or I would say if you're passively doing this and you're not really do it in an index fund or a mutual fund, or just sit it in the account, sit it in Ameritrade and Robinhood and leave it there until you can invest in yourself. That's really just how you have to look at it. Just don't touch it. Just leave it in there. If you can, park it in a mutual fund or index fund if you have enough to actually buy one. But it's just so worth it to me. I got into a mutual fund with Ameritrade, two mutual funds, actually. I'm not going to name them because I'm not giving them a shout out on this podcast. But it's a stock market mutual fund that indexes the stock market, and a government bond mutual fund that basically buys government bonds, and it's a whole thing. So those are the two stock markets that I invest in. Is diversified. One, the mutual fund is already diversified because it's invest in the stock market, and two, government bonds are diversified because they're different states and different municipals, and it's government bonds. It's not the actual stock market. So there are two differences, but like I said, that's a conversation for another day. I just want to focus on investing, and all of this information is searchable. So please, if you have a smartphone, go look on the app. There are apps, Robinhood, Ameritrade. Just go and download the app. You don't have to set up an account just yet. Just go and look at what they have to offer. Both free, no charges. They will not charge you for investing. Ameritrade just got bought out, so they're free now. Robinhood's been free, but now Ameritrade is picking up the slack. But you guys have to invest. Please invest in yourself. Please. Yeah, it's a great feeling to open up your account and be like, oh, I got $100 in there. Okay. And you go up there next day, it's like, oh, I got 120. Stock market went up. You just buy more stocks. It's really a great compounding effect. The way that I've done it is I've set up a recurring deposit to my investments. Every time that I get paid, about 10% of whatever the income is goes to my investing stocks. The money just sits there until I'm ready to buy something. Now, if I want to invest in my mutual fund, I do have to call and say, hey, can you buy me however many shares of this mutual fund, and, put it in there and, just leave it alone and let it keep investing. I mean, but that's a 5-minute phone call. Send an email. It's really easy once you know. It goes back to that learning thing. Once you know how to do something, once you learned how to tie your shoes, now you don't even think about it. You just go, oh, I got to tie my shoes. And you tie your shoes, and then you look up and you keep about your day. You probably don't even remember half the time you tie your shoes. And that's how you need to be with the investing in stocks and in yourself. You need to just automatically know, okay, I got $200 today. I know 20 of that is going towards, investing in myself. Another $30 is going towards the stock market. I know I got to put 20 aside just in case something happens. Okay, that's going to leave me with roughly $120, $130 I can play with. That's how you need to start approaching money. Because when you get $200 and you think to yourself, oh man, I got $200. Oh shoot, I can go blow this on. No, it's not blow this. It's okay. I got this set aside. Then you go to, okay, now I can do A, B, and C. That's what the budget is. That's what the budget is for. Broken down so every penny and dime you earn that month, you know exactly where it's going. And then if you get anything extra, oh, well, I can put that here, put this little extra over there because that's the extra I wasn't expecting. And you start seeing like, oh, okay, well, since I got this under control, now I'm not worrying about this. And since I'm not worrying about this, oh, I can do more. That's the way that investing works. Once you start the ground level, it starts building on itself. Naturally. It's really crazy when you think about it. The more money you put in, the more you make. The more you make, the more money you can ultimately put in. It's crazy how things work, how certain things work like that. It makes no sense. It's not comprehensible until you actually do it. But everything does come with risk. I'm not going to lie about that. Stock market is not free. It's not without the possibility of you losing some money. But there's always a risk. The risk you can get put out on the street tomorrow. Risky apartment can burn down. I mean, there's risk in everything that we do. So it's just, what are you willing to spend your time doing? What are you willing to risk? What are you willing to say, hey, you know what? I got to stop thinking about today and next week. I got to think 2-3 years from now. Investing in the stock market is an important tool. I do believe that. But you can also invest in your own business. And that's really where the last point that I'm going to make today before I get out of here. It's really easy to start your own business. I know this is going to be a constant theme of what I'm saying, but there's something you can do right now. If you're on your computer or your phone, type in the letters SOS and the state that you're in. SOS Ohio, SOS Kentucky, SOS Texas, SOS whatever. If you're in the States, Go there. It'll say Secretary of State, and you can see how to create a business in your state. Very simple process. Partnership. And here in Ohio, you literally just have to sign some documents, give them your name, your social, and place of residence, and then you have a partnership. There's no fees or anything associated with partnerships or seen as sole proprietorships, but we're not going to get into that. Tax that you're at the individual level or as a business. Like I said, not going to get into it, but very easy to do. Very simple, quick way to do it. Now, me personally, for my media business, I'm an LLC. Limited liability company. I can only lose so much money up to a certain extent. It's a separate taxable entity, whole other thing. But what I'm saying is if you want to start a business, very possible. Very possible. Look up the cost. Everything's right there on SOS. Right now, they're giving away small business loans like it's candy. So why not? Now, granted, they do have to be for if you're paying your employees, and if you're just starting a business, you're probably not paying your employees. But the government gives a lot of protections to businesses. You best believe I looked up to see if I was qualified for anything, but the government does a lot to protect individual businesses. And saying you are a business owner is a great one-liner for the ladies. You hit a girl with the, I'm a business owner. You got the paperwork. Listen, I keep my paperwork in my back pocket now anytime I go somewhere. Just, hey, I can't get in this club, sir? Well, maybe you didn't know. Harash, business owner. You know what I'm saying? Just, there's no reason. Would you like some cheese? Let me check my business paperwork if I want some cheese on my burger. According to the state, I am, yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and get that cheese on that burger. That's just how it is, guys. If you're not bringing in money, you spending money. That's just the way the world works. So please, please, please invest in yourself. Invest in you, yourself, or your business. In an actual fund. I don't mean, well, I'm going to just take 20. I mean, a separate account. You have the easiest way to spend money is to keep it all in one place visible to you. That's the easiest way to do it. If I give you $20 and say, hold on to this $20, I guarantee you're going to look at that $20 a couple times. But if I say, hey, man, this $20 that I'm going to give you, I'm actually going to put this to the side and invest it for you. And then you might come back up. Oh, man, what happened to that $20 you get? Oh, yeah, I invested that. It's now worth $40. Oh, and you didn't have to do nothing. You doubled your money for not doing anything. Can you imagine how crazy that is? So I know I make it sound really simple, but once you learn how to do it, it's so easy. I created my business and then I created DBA because that's what I'm doing business as. I'm doing business as another entity as this media company, but I still have a different LLC that I do other things under. It's very fun, very freeing. Just don't let your creativity be stifled or stopped by anything. You guys, I know sometimes we get stuck in the hustle and bustle of everyday life and it can really suck from time to time. Believe me, I know. But you have more power than you could possibly imagine. You have the ability to wake up and say, I'm going to do something different today just by thinking it. Just by thinking it. Some of it doesn't even require money. It's just literally thought. Just changing the way that you think about things can drastically change your life. So I'm about to get off here pretty soon. But I do have a request for you guys. If you can sit down and come up with 5 things that you're good at. 5 easy things that you're good at. Are you good at eating? Are you good at writing? You good at walking? Are you good at having conversations? Are you good at being really quiet? Are you good at making people feel comfortable? Whatever 5 simple things that you can do it. List it out. And then from that 5, think of 5 businesses that you can make from that five list of things. And then from that 5 businesses that you can create, what 5 can you actually create? And by actually create, I don't mean, oh, you don't know anybody to make the logo, or you don't know anybody to make that. That's all secondary. What can you start doing right now? If you like talking to people, can you try to make a Facebook group about counseling people, about how to help them through rough times? A lot of people get started just on social media, just by saying, hey, I have this idea. Let me get some other people to think the same way as I do. This is the 3rd episode of my podcast. This didn't start with any genius idea of, oh, I'm going to do this and change the world and we're all going to. No, it's just I felt like talking to some people. I don't know if this episode will do good. I don't know if it'll bomb, but it's just something I want to do. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to make another episode too. Because why not? Because this is what I'm here for. Plus, we're quarantined right now, so it's not like I can do a bunch of other stuff. But, I mean, do what you like. Do what you want. And it will be fruitful. You guys know I'm a Christian. I'm a Baptist. So religion does play a portion in my life. And I do think it's fine if you're not religious, but sometimes you need that extra oomph of inspiration. And sometimes religion just does that for you. I'm not going to act like I don't have my issues. Like I said, I'm trying not to get too deep on this podcast because I want to keep it short, but we all got issues, man. I just don't want to hear your excuses. I want to see you be great. I want to see you achieve the levels that I know you can. Why aren't you rich right now? Yes, we're born into horrible, terrible opportunities. Absolutely. But if you're spending money on another person, making them rich, why not spend it on yourself? People aren't rich by chance. No one becomes rich just by, even people who win the lottery, 90% of all people who win the lottery end up losing it and becoming bankrupt. Most people become suicidal. So if you can't manage your money when you're broke, you're going to lose it when you get it. Generational wealth. You want to be able to wake up tomorrow. My net worth is $1,000. Go to sleep, wake up the next day. My net worth is $1,000. Go to sleep, wake up the next day. $1,000. What did you do? I just fell asleep, man. And you still got $1,000? Yeah, I just don't touch it. Think about that. You hear about people's net worth being $4 or $5 million, and you just go, "Oh my gosh, how did they get that much?" It's because at one point they started with $1, and they said, "I'm gonna just keep investing this $1. Maybe I'll invest it in my business. Maybe I'll invest it in myself. Maybe I'll invest it in the stock market." But they kept letting that compound until they woke up one day and said, "I got $5 million." Might not have been a year, might not have been 2, 5, 10, 20, 30, maybe 40. Maybe it took them a while. But when it finally paid off, you can believe that they were overjoyed. Yeah. So I want you guys to be overjoyed, man. I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to enjoy life. I want you guys to reap the benefits of all the rewards that you deserve. So please, do what you love and love what you do. Invest in yourself, and you'll see the fruits of that investment. Be safe, guys. This is Anonymous checking out. Peace. I vow to my styles until it's mastered. A crafty little